And break through the one thing that is preventing your success. And now, here's the host of 7 Minutes in the Morning and your results coach, Thom Rigsby.
Hey, look at that. It all worked. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Thom Rigsby, and normally this show is called 7 Minutes. Maybe I should do a new intro in the interim. But this is a show where we talk about how to start, grow, and enjoy the benefits of business ownership. More than a few days ago now, we kind of hijacked the show and turned it into your daily briefing for all your necessary coronavirus updates. What you as a business owner need to know. You know, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of speculation and just crap floating around out there. We try to sift through all that and bring you just the nuggets that you need in order to actually run the business. So, coming to you live today from the radio station, because coming up at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock, it's time for Talk Radio for Entrepreneurs, our radio time together during the week. So be sure and tune in for that on WTKI. That's 1450 AM, 105.3 FM, or even better, talkradioforentrepreneurs.com. You can join the live stream, watch and listen live, and join in the conversation. When you get here today, do as Catherine and Keith have done already. Leave a comment and say hi, hello, good morning, how you doing, whatever is appropriate. We are back to multi-streaming today. So sorry for a terrible connection with our friend Kelly Myers yesterday. We're going to get him back on this week to share some of that info. It's good information. Need to get that out. All right, so let's get to the numbers. We got a couple of things to cover today. Kind of a mix in information today, and in fact, I forgot to change that arrow. The rate of growth number went up a little bit yesterday. That arrow should be pointing up and should be colored red. But we're kind of teetering in the same spot. If you look at a 5-day rolling average, we're kind of holding steady. So I look at that as kind of, just normal fluctuation in that range. Now, again, the reason that we're looking at this number is because this is the number that's going to tell us when we reach the inflection point of this. The inflection point being that point where it stops growing and just starts kind of holding steady, maybe doing a little bit better than steady. So if you look at some of the numbers for countries that are a little bit ahead of us time-wise, you can see this inflection curve play out. Logistic curve. And you can see that inflection point on the logistic curve. So that's what we're looking for here. That's going to be our indication here, and as we're doing on the daily briefing, to say, hey, let's get queued up. Things are about to change. We need to get ready. This is, if you've ever read the book Thou Shalt Prosper by Rabbi Daniel Lapin, he talks about being able to tell the future. And he goes on to say it's not really about telling the future. It's about being able to see the cues that are coming up, to understand historically and in context what's going on so you can react appropriately. All right, let me close that real quick because I've heard some. Yeah, there you go. Heard some comments pop up. Just wanted to say hi to everybody. Hey, Joe. All right, so back to the numbers here real quick, just so we can touch those. The other one that I want to get to, I'm going to keep pointing this out. As of yesterday, so these numbers are a little different than what you'll see reported elsewhere this morning. Our recoveries are continue to exceed deaths, and it's growing. It's beginning to grow at a little bit of a steeper rate. So, again, just another indicator for us to keep an eye on. If you look at this number, right, 163,000 cases and only 8,000 of them have been, 8,500 of them have been resolved. At some point, huge numbers are going to start dropping into those recovery, those outcome lines, and we're going to start seeing a result. All right. So just be aware of that. As you hear the news, as you hear other people talking about it, I really would like for you to listen for other people talking about the logistic curve, the rate of growth, and that sort of thing, because I don't hear other people talking about that. All right, the other thing I wanted to get to is, oh man, I closed the window. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today was, in terms of the numbers, was how we look per capita. Right, so it's really easy to say, oh well, we have the U.S. has more cases than anywhere else in the world. Yeah, well, our population's different than other places in the world. Um, so it's really important to take all this information that we have in context. Without context, I can make numbers mean anything. I had this. Here's a great example. When I was working in software, we have this argument all the time about, can we ship product with bugs in it? And if you've ever worked in software, almost every product has known bugs in it, right? And so we had this guy who was running QA, and he would say, we have to get defects down below 100. I'm like, okay, to 80? Yeah, sure. To 50? Yeah, uh-huh. How about 1? Could we ship it if we had 1 bug? Yes, absolutely. I'd be happy shipping it with 1 bug. I'm like, okay, what if that bug's with the login screen and it doesn't work? I mean, it's in context, right? All right, so let's look at a little bit of context here. In terms of cases per million of population, that's really what, I can move that so I can see. This is what helps us kind of understand what's going on. The U.S., as of immediate numbers, 164,000 cases. Cases per million in population, that's 497. We're right around 500 cases per million in population. All right. Italy, who's had a tough time of it, they're 3 times higher than that. They have 100,000 cases, but they have 1,683 cases per million. Spain, who has now overtaken Italy in terms of severity, while they have fewer cases, 94,000 cases, they have a smaller population too. That's 2,000 cases per million in population. Now, as Fred likes to point out, we'll never know for sure how many people had it, because some people had it and got over it. So the only thing we know for sure is deaths. Let's look at that number. In the U.S., it's 10 deaths per million. In Italy, 192 per million. In Spain, 175. And because Keith is on, it's 21 deaths per million in the UK, 326 cases per million in the UK. So you're actually doing better than we are there. So look, the important thing, the reason I wanted to hit that is to remind you that it's all in context, right? Take all the information you get and consider it in context, because otherwise, we can spin anything to make it sound good or sound bad. All right, final thing I want to hit you with today is an update on what's going on with the CARES Act. We talked with Kelly Myers from the Myers Consulting Group yesterday, and as I mentioned in the open, we'll have him back because his audio, our connection wasn't that great. One of the things that we talked about, though, was how there's a lot of vagueness left in the language of the act. And that's not always uncommon in legislation. They leave those vagaries in there so the administrators can kind of fill in the details. In this case, they left some of that in there so that the boots on the ground can actually figure out how to make some of this work. Here's the number one thing you need to, or top 2 things you need to do in terms of funding, right? Number one, go to sba.gov/disaster and apply. The application process has been greatly reduced. Go there and apply. That's the place to start. Number 2, right after you do that, call your banker. Now, and we're going to have a banker join us later in the week to give us some details on how this is working. I think she'll be with us on Friday. But here's the thing: it has to be your bank or the bank that you pursue these loans with. Some of these loans has to be an SBA approved lender. If they're not, they can't work the loan. So you need to call your bank, find out if they're an SBA lender. And if you don't have a bank that's an SBA lender, you might have a hard time. Some of them are doing this for their existing clients first and then taking new clients. So you might have to do a little bit of legwork. Now's the time to do the legwork, right? Go ahead and collect the documentation you know you're going to need, right? Your tax returns, your P&Ls, those, we need those, right? Go ahead and collect those. Find the bank that you are going to work with. Make sure that they're able to take you on and take this this lending vehicle, create this lending vehicle for you, and start talking to them now about what you need in order to be ready when it's time to apply. All right. So that's the big takeaway. There's still a lot of gaps and a lot of holes we don't know the answers to when it comes to this CARES Act and how it's going to be implemented, but we do know beyond the shadow of a doubt that our job is to survive until we get to that midway point, and then we can reboot and get back to thriving. We know that there's a lot of pent-up energy and demand that's going to be unleashed when we open the doors, so we have to be ready and be prepared for that. On the radio show today, I'm going to talk to you about a young man I had a conversation with yesterday, his construction company in New York, and kind of some of the things that are going on there, and the context of the conversation, kind of the high point, broad application points that we talked about. Last thing before we go, I want to share with you our quote of the day today is practice focused flexibility. This actually comes from one of our regular listeners. Catherine, see if you can guess who this is. Practice focused flexibility. Practice focus, flexibility. Focus on the goal, but be flexible in your execution. That's the name of the game today. Be flexible. Be focused on the goal, which right now is to survive, and be flexible in your execution. All right, let's see if there are a couple of good comments we need to get here. Yeah, I know. I can't see them all. So Joe points out there are people in the other channel. If you are leaving a comment and I'm not responding to it, I'll get the text comment after we're done. Because of this, the way we're streaming to multiple destinations, it's hard to aggregate all those back to the same place. Yeah, Keith points out, so the numbers tested in UK is not good. And look, this whole comparison of the number of infections is, and I won't say questionable, but if you don't test every single person, then you don't know the real answer, right? We know the ones that we've confirmed. That's why if we can drop back to deaths that are attributable, then we've got an actual number. The problem is that those numbers have thankfully been so small that it doesn't leave a good population pool to do statistical analysis on. And Catherine recognized her quote as the quote of the day. Practice focused flexibility. Be focused on the goal, but flexible in your execution. All right, that's it for today. Remember, the radio show's coming up at 8 o'clock. That's on WTKI 1450 AM, 1053 FM, WTKIradio.com, or the very best place to watch it, talkradioforentrepreneurs.com. Then you can watch the live stream, chat with us, and see everything that's going on there. If you get value from our time together today, it would help us a lot if you would do two things. Number one, click on the share button underneath this video. Share it with another business owner that you know. They need this information. They need to be here, and you might be the conduit that allows them to do that. And number two, heart, stars, thumbs up, likes, whatever's appropriate in the venue where you are watching or listening. That helps other people find us and get the good word out as well. You guys have a great day. Remain focused on the outcome, flexible in your execution, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Take care.